everyone, welcome to another episode of Galaxy Gardens. My name is Chrissy and tonight I'm going to be showing you some winter seed sowing tips. Now I live in Massachusetts, zone 6B. Fortunately, I don't have a 4-season greenhouse, so what I do is grow inside over the winter. Last year I actually got a chance to do some mushroom growing. This year I would really like to do both mushroom growing inside the house. And where I am right now in my garage, I'd like to do some general vegetable growing. We're talking lettuce, spinach, kale, maybe even some root crops. But come with me, I'll show you what that's all about and see if that's something you can do at your house too. All right, I decided to put my hair up. What I'm gonna show you first is I wanna give you an update on the fruit trees. So come with me, I'm gonna show you inside our tent. Okay, so right now I have everything on a 12-hour cycle. If you remember and you saw one of my IGTV videos, I think it was like a week or two ago, I went through all of my figs, gave them haircuts. You can see this one, it's even starting to grow some leaves back already. Trust me, they grow so quickly. But I just want to give everyone an update on how things are looking before we get into other winter gardening things. So my Javos, if you remember from the video, they were not very happy. I don't know how well it's coming up on camera, but they are starting to put out little buds for new leaves, so they're just dropping the ones from when they got a little bit dried out. They'll be okay though, they've been through before. Down here you can see another fig that I gave a haircut to. Down here, let's just snake through here. My Panache tiger, sorry if that's not how you say it, starting to put out buds to grow new leaves too. So figs are super resilient and they'll just grow back from anything, but everybody is looking so great. One thing I did notice up here, and this is on one of my Eureka lemons, is, I don't know how well that's coming up on camera, but I actually have a little bit of a spider mite issue starting now. That's okay, I have some treatment for that. I'll show you that down the road. Spider mites really aren't an issue for me, even if they come in, we deal with them. And then here is that very small Eureka lemon, still getting bigger. I'm so proud of it. So this is how everybody's looking, doing great. I'll give you some periodic updates as we go through the winter. But right now, let's talk vegetables. All right, welcome back to my table. If you haven't figured it out already, it's actually a ping pong table. Or we don't have ping pong official items, so it's just table tennis. But it's doubling as a table for me today. What I wanna show you over here are all of the seeds I'm gonna be growing. I did kind of go through an overview of this in IGTV, excuse me, not an IGTV, an IG Live we did last week. You can go over to my Instagram, it's under The Galaxy Gardens. You can go check it out, but I'm gonna give you an overview here too. Okay, so thinking of, and I have a whole little pile of seeds here, thinking of growing in the winter. Obviously, number one, you want to grow stuff that you like. Now, I love lettuce, I love hardy greens, I like root vegetables, okay? I also love pesto. So I just did the Am I Gardener grab bag, and they have the best seeds, honestly, so much variety. So some things that I am going to grow are herbs. So let me just get this together here. So I got this from my local feed store. This is just a basic sweet basil. But we're gonna do a pot of this. We're going to do a pot of lime basil, which I actually was planning on buying this year, so unintended bonus of getting the grab bag. We're going to be doing licorice basil, and I really think it's Thai basil because it looks like it, and I know Thai basil has that licorice flavor. But for all intents and purposes, licorice basil. And then I also got another thing in my grab bag. It's called Salad Burnet. And I might be totally butchering that name, but on the seed packet it says it has a strong tarragon flavor. And I am a fan of tarragon, and what I don't have are tarragon seeds. So these are the herbs I'm gonna grow. It's actually the only herb seeds I have at the moment. I'm in the process of trying to save some other ones, but I don't know. I don't know what I want to grow next year. Definitely some cilantro to get the coriander seeds. I think I still have a packet of triple parsley. I grew a bunch this summer though, and I have a bunch dried, so I don't think I really need any fresh one over the winter. And then, oh, I missed one. We're gonna do one more. Greek basil. I am a huge fan of clove smelling things, and this Greek basil variety just smells just like cloves. I love it. It has such a, like when you use it in cooking, it's pretty light, but like when you're just smelling it fresh, nothing beats it. All right, so what else are we gonna do? I got another type of basil here, which is actually a Basil Blend. And I was considering growing it over the winter, but I think I'm gonna save it for this spring. It's got 4, I think. Yeah, it's got 4 different types of basil in here. I don't remember what, it's not listed on the package, but it is at the Park Seed website. It's just listed under Basil Culinary Blend. So you can go check it out yourself. I think I'm gonna hold on to this actually. Now, what else are we gonna grow? Swiss chard. I'll show you I'm looking over at my greenhouse. I'll show you my greenhouse in a minute. I have the room to grow Swiss chard, and if you've grown Swiss chard before, you know the leaves can get very tall. So these are being grown at the bottom. We're gonna take out one of the levels, and we're really just gonna grow in 2 levels and just shove everything in there. I'll decide by the end of tonight, but I'm still kind of on the fence about it, is kohlrabi. Now, I really want to make sure the chard has enough room to grow, and I want kohlrabi, but honestly, for the amount of room it takes, and I want to say each level of my greenhouse is maybe like a 2x3. I just don't know if this makes sense space-wise for everything I want to grow, so I'm going to put this to the side too. So some other stuff I want to grow. Let's just double check I have it. Oh, there we go. Okay. So this is another chard. So I have 3 kinds of chard. I have peppermint, rhubarb, and what I think is called lasulis. Anyone can tell me. I also have a couple types of beets here. I have a chioga and a golden beet from Gurney's and Park Seed. These are also going to go on the bottom level because the years I've had good beets, those leaves get pretty big too. So bottom level, right? Swiss chard, beets, and carrots. Now, the carrots are gonna be an experiment. I'm actually more hopeful that the beets are gonna do well, but I am confident we'll be able to fit everything. The majority of this bottom level, I'm really gonna focus on the root vegetables, and I really just want like a couple big Swiss chards. Or maybe 3, at least 1 of each variety. All right, now the last thing I have here, I have spinach, I have lettuce, I have more lettuce. I've never bought it from this company before. We're gonna see how it goes. But I also have one, it's called a Dwarf Siberian kale. Just looks like your standard curly kale, maybe like a darker boar variety, pretty similar. So these are all getting grown on the top. I'm going to do successive sowings of lettuce. So I'm gonna do like 1 variety and then 1 and 1 and 1. I'm probably gonna space it out like a week between each variety, just so I can have some overlay through the winter. And then actually, I wanna say maybe in a month, what I'll do is move all the lettuce somewhere else. I have another spot for them. I'll show you that later on. And then start another round. Because if you get lettuce going, as long as you keep it in a good temperature, you keep cutting it back or harvesting it as you want. Honestly, you could harvest from it for like 3 months. I did that. Oh my goodness, sorry, time just doesn't exist. I got this house last year. So last spring of 2020 was my best lettuce year ever. I grew it in the ground. It was in an area that was like really shady during the morning, even in the winter and the summer. So it was really shady there. And then like as the day progressed, because I had other taller things around it, it did get some sun, but it wasn't just sitting in the sun all day. So I probably collected lettuce from like early April till maybe like June, before it got like super hot. That was an amazing length of time, and I just collected it for leaf lettuce. I wasn't growing like full heads, so just pull all the leaves right up the stalk for 3 months before it started getting bitter. I think that's impressive. It's the same varieties I have here: iceberg, romaine, oak leaf red, buttercrunch, especially buttercrunch. Love that one. So that's my goal for the winter. I want the lettuce to last a while. Definitely getting the herbs. We're gonna try out the Swiss chard, we're gonna try out the beets, and we're gonna try out the carrots. And that's it. Another experiment I have, which I don't really know how it's gonna go. I've only ever grown one of these successfully ever, and that was like over 5 years ago. And that's Tango celery. Now the one time I grew it, it was the most delicious celery I've ever had in my life. So I keep buying it every year to try to grow it again. So we're gonna see how that goes. Now, one of the reasons I selected all these varieties is because they can just be surface sown and maybe covered with like a tiny bit of soil. So this means I don't have to get any starts going. You absolutely can. If I wasn't so busy this fall, I probably would have gotten some starts going like a month ago, at least for the lettuce and the kale and the herbs and the Swiss chard, but I just didn't have that time. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna direct sow them today in our containers. I'll show you those in a moment. And we're gonna see how it goes, and I'll give you some updates as we go. So what I wanna show you right now is the little mini greenhouse we're working with and my light system. All right, please ignore my dirty garage on the other side. Greg is a home brewer, so you have our own little station here. So this is what I'm working with. So for reference, I'm about 5'6". This is about, I don't know, a little over 5 feet tall. It has 4 levels to it. Each level has about like a foot in between, maybe a little bit more. So when I'm talking about putting the Swiss chard at the bottom, this would be this level. And this one, obviously I can just come out really quickly. I'm gonna leave the supports here in the middle just for structure, but the leaves can obviously go up and stick through it. So then, here I'm talking about like a second level. Just kidding. There's 2 more levels we're gonna work with. So the lettuce is gonna go on this level here. So you could think tall Swiss chard, tall carrots, tall beets, whatever. Or even just, you know, Swiss chard and carrots. This level is gonna be all lettuce. Now this top level is gonna be for the herbs. They tend to like being a bit warmer. And while I have these, which are LED lights, they're not gonna get very hot. The garage will actually be quite warm over the winter, obviously for like the fruit trees. So up here is gonna be for the herbs. Now, honestly, since I don't know why I wasn't thinking about an extra level, I definitely can grow the celery on top too. So 4 levels. This was so cheap. I just got it online. I think it was like $45 for the whole thing. And all I really had to do, because I used it for seed starting inside, it got a bit humid. So up here, if you can see it, if it focuses, there you go. I just cut a little vent hole. And then it's not the most perfect design. I definitely like ripped a hole in it. I'm just gonna duct tape it. It's gonna be warm in here, but it'll be okay. I'd prefer stuff dried out a little bit faster compared to being super humid. And then under here, let's see if I can get a good look at it. I have LED lights, so I actually have 4 of these. These are 2 separate ones. And they are so bright. If I can find them on my hard drive, I have all of my stuff that I did last winter before I even started this channel, and I'll show you that this winter, see what it looked like. It was awesome. I was so happy with it. Like, one of these lights evenly lit up like this whole area. I'm sure ideally it would be to have like one in the middle of here, one in the middle of there, so it'd be even brighter, but honestly I was so happy with it. So I have 4 of them, and they're just gonna snake like this, all the wires, the way they connect. And I'll just plug it in the wall. Easy as that. Okay, can you see me? Hi. So I'm over here in my little storage area for all of my trays and seed starting stuff, little mini greenhouses I used before I bought my greenhouse. And I just wanted to give you a look at what it is. Listen, I'm not very fancy. This isn't where all my pots are. I have my pots in a different area too. But we're gonna use some of this stuff. And honestly, clean everything you're gonna use before you use it. I'm not gonna show you best practice like that today, but I'll show you some stuff for use. So here's my collection of aloe and varying cactuses. I will find a place for them. I don't know where that's gonna be, but I'll find it. Also, say hi to my water bottle I have been looking for since the weekend and just absentmindedly put it here. And if anyone can tell me, my little barrel cactus is making protrusions on the side. What do I do about that? How do I get it to be a barrel again? Or is it just making pups and I gotta live with it? Please let me know. Okay, so I showed you all of the seeds. I've showed you some of the containers I'm gonna use. What I'm actually gonna do right now is just set up the lights all in here and get all my containers together, and then we'll start talking about soil. Here is the basic structure that we're working with. As you can see, for the bottom 2, I'm using some larger containers, obviously pre-drilled. And then on the top, I'm gonna do some smaller ones. I'm doing that 2-fold because I only had 2 extra ones of these. And in the top with the herbs, I might end up moving them inside, who knows. So that's what we're gonna do. And this works out pretty good because if I keep this in the middle, and then I'll have the light hanging down, anything that grows up, it's just gonna go on either side of here. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I think what I'll do with the lettuce is put a little bit shallower soil. It really doesn't need much soil. So, and I chose these tall pots just as a side note, so I wouldn't have to hang the lights so low, just because I really don't like them swinging around. I know they're LED, and there's really not that much risk of fire, but it just makes me feel better. So let me put the lights in, I'll show you what it looks like, I'll turn it on, we're gonna put some soil in, and we'll talk about that. And soil over there. I love when me from the past looks out for me in the future. Check this out. Okay, I gotta look down here. So as it turns out, the places in which I had tied up the lights for winter seed starting for the spring is exactly where I want these to be. I am so happy. Now, you might be asking yourself, oh, hey, all the seed starting stuff says you're supposed to have it only like a couple inches over your seeds, blah, 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 blah. Don't worry about that. It's gonna be fine. I do recommend it for a lot of things, and that's definitely best practice. I found with these lights last year, I really didn't need to do that for the herbs. And the soil in these containers is really gonna go up to here. I mean, you can see where the previous line is because I didn't wash this container. So it'll probably be about 3 or 4 inches above. And of course there's room to go. And also down here, so this one is gonna be obviously closer until everything gets going, but then there is room for my other light to be put up there once everything gets taller. So it's gonna work out. Honestly, worst case, I could just, you know, make some longer string and it could be hanging in the middle here. So that is a very pleasant surprise. Next up, we're going to be talking about soil, and I'm gonna go through why I have this particular soil and other ones I might recommend you to use, because this is definitely not the best for indoor growing. So this is the type of soil that I have. This is Miracle-Gro garden soil. Now, say what you will about Miracle-Gro, I'm pretty indifferent about them. Some people love or hate them for different reasons. But it's a much, I guess you could call it, I don't know, thicker mix. There's no vermiculite, there's no perlite in here. You can see it's mostly like, this is a mulch, or it's been heat up to plastic. No plastic I can see in here, there's some fertilizer balls. So why am I using this? This is what I can afford right now. This is what was for sale at the place that I could get soil from. If, you know, you're really good with things, you'll make your own soil. But this is really meant to be mixed with others. So even on the back here, 2 to 3 inches of product mixed into the top 68 inches of soil. If you were to use it as an amendment for a raised garden bed, again, 3-inch layer, work it into the top 6 inches of soil. So this is not the ideal thing to use. Now, what can you do with it? I don't have any. I could probably order some, but about to enter fun employment soon, so I'm not doing that. But what you could do is order some perlite and other amendments and mix it into here, and you'll end up, you know, having a pretty good soil. I'm not gonna lie, I think it's gonna be a good base. What I expect to happen over time is for this to compact down, especially as I water. So, you know, definitely not my first choice. I really like I think it's Roots Organic 707, that stuff. I'm gonna use that for everything. Now this works pretty good too. Obviously I don't have as much of it. This is the Costa Maine seed starter. I used this last year to get my seeds going. You can see already it's fluffier. It's got some perlite in there. It's definitely got some peat moss. There's no way it doesn't, it's so light. This is really what you want for young plants. It's very friendly to their small roots. So if this is what you got, or if this is what you got, honestly, grow with what you have. Do what you can with what you have with the time you have to spare. This is how I choose to spend my time. We're probably gonna have some leftovers of this soil, that's okay. I'll just throw it outside. Okay, so with that, there's my speech on soil. There's the stuff I'm gonna put the soil in. So let's go do that. And just for the record, I'm gonna be putting in the soil dry. I'm not gonna be mixing it with water. It is generally recommended before you plant stuff, please dampen your soil. Don't do what I'm doing right now. Do as I say, not as I'm showing you. And then I will do as I say later on when I get my seeds going in the spring. But really you wanna mix your soil with some water and basically a consistency where if you're putting it in your hand, okay, it's damp soil, whatever, and you're squeezing it, right? It's not just like dripping water anywhere. Maybe like a couple drops come out. That was the perfect seed starting, like dampness to not dampness ratio. But we're not gonna do it here. What I'm gonna do is fill all these containers up with soil. I'm going out to my rain barrels and I'm going to get them damp like that and let them drain out for a minute. And then we're gonna put the seeds in. It's gonna be great. All right, I'll show you what that looks like. perfectly honest with you, I cheated a little bit. I don't want to carry these all the way. Please don't do this in your garage regularly. My garage happens to have a drain, but doesn't mean that this is something you want to do all the time. I have a very dry garage too, so I'm not even kidding you. So you see how that's like a little bit of a pool. That's gonna be dry in an hour. That is how dry my garage is. I love it. Everybody's all set. Now, it's time for the seeds. I'm gonna go grab them. Welcome back to the table tennis area. So, we have the greenhouse is assembled. We have the lights in there. I have my containers picked out. We have soil in them. The soil is damp and ready to go. So, what are we gonna do? So if you remember, we have 5 smaller containers up top. So, just so happen to have 5 herbs. Now, I'm definitely doing 1 full container of sweet basil and of Greek basil, obviously. What I think I'm gonna do is a half and half of the salad burnet, or however you say that, and the licorice basil, because if this is Thai basil, oh my God, you really don't need that much of this. And just for the dishes that we make and how vigorous it grows, and I personally don't like growing it because it flowers so much, like I could take the flowers off today. It's gonna have a whole head of flowers on it tomorrow, so that's why I don't like growing it. So I'm gonna do half and half, okay, and then 1 whole, 1 of lime basil. So that's 4 containers right there. And then I'm gonna do 1 container of the celery. And what I'm gonna do with the celery is just a scatter sowing, and we'll see how it does. If, you know, at least a few of them do really well, then I will thin it down to about 4 for one of those small containers and just pick it as it goes. And then for the middle container that's gonna have the salad greens in it, I'm gonna do 2 different ones right now. I have an extra packet of butter crunch, so I'm gonna do butter crunch and prize head, so 1 green and 1 red, and spinach as well. So I'm gonna do, I wanna say, maybe like 2 rows of each. And I know I said earlier I was gonna do like 1 and wait a week and do another one, but I'd rather have a little bit variety right away. So as I was putting the soil in, I was like, why not? Like, it's my garage, I'll do whatever I want in it. So spinach, 2 types of lettuce. Next time I go through, what I think I'm gonna do is the iceberg, the oak leaf, and then some kale. And we'll have a little variety there. And since I'm doing 3 at once, I'm gonna wait 2 weeks before I add these, so it'll be like half and half. And if I end up with any extra room, let's say something doesn't do so well, I run out of seeds and I can't like sow it anymore, great, I have 3 more kinds of lettuce to try. It's great. All right, so that's that one. And then on the bottom with the Swiss chard, I'm gonna be doing just 1 row of this, one row of each, pretty much, of the Swiss chards. I don't have to worry about doing successive sowings of those because once they get going, they actually get like a pretty thick taproot, and I feel, someone confirmed this for me, but I feel like if I live somewhere that doesn't freeze over, like they would probably just keep going. I don't know, that's my theory. And then I'm just gonna do 1 big section of beets and carrots. So let's get at it. Let's see what comes up. And most of these probably won't germinate for at least 7 to 14 days, maybe even longer for the carrots. But I'm excited to see how they come out. So I'm gonna put them in there, I'm gonna bring it with me, and then I'm gonna show you what it looks like with the lights on because it's so pretty. For the salad container, obviously I put a little bit less soil in here than the other one. So we're gonna start with the 3 salads, or the two lettuce and 1 spinach. And the way I'm gonna do this is a couple rows of each. So what I'm gonna do is just put a small depression in here, about 2 inches apart from each other. And I'm gonna fill in the trenches with the seed varieties and cover it up. I'm actually gonna do this similar process for the carrots. I have 1, 2, 4, 5, we'll do one more. Okay, we're just about at that halfway point. Now, we'll start with the red lettuce. Actually, I've never used this variety, so I'm hoping you can see that I have enough for 2 rows. And I'm not labeling these. I like this surprise. I'll label my summer garden. No problem. All right, and that's it for that. Next up, we'll do the green lettuce. This is butter crunch. I think it's neat. I noticed this last year, but I don't know if this is like a hard and fast rule for lettuce. But the green lettuce usually has the darker seeds and the red lettuce usually has the lighter seeds. Maybe it's just the varieties I've gotten, but I thought it was kind of cool. Okay, and then the spinach, Noble Giant. Now, I've grown this one before, and it did get quite large. So for all of these, I did do like a very thick sowing of lettuce for my hanging baskets, which you've probably seen if you have seen any of my Instagram videos. But I'm not gonna do it here. What I'm actually gonna do for all of these is you can see, decent amount of seeds here. I actually have extra spinach seeds, so I'm gonna put those away. I'm gonna thin them out, and maybe we'll try for some heads. And if I could bring you here, bring you up here a little bit. Let's see that. There you go. These, so obviously the basil and such in the back here, I'm gonna sprinkle some soil over, but I'm not gonna do that with these. What I'm gonna do with these is just really lightly pinch the soil over the little trenches I made. And that is all they need. Whenever you're thinking of planting seeds, you want to plant them twice as deep as they are wide. And be very careful when you water, because they're very shallow. All right, perfect. Now I'm just gonna do the carrots, beets, and chard, and we'll be all done. Isn't that beautiful? So same thing here. I'm really just going to gently cover the trenches. And I will not be watering these with a watering can. I actually have a little spray bottle. We're just gonna give them a nice soak with this spray bottle because that is gentle. It will, the soil obviously is damp, but it'll help penetrate the seeds a bit more without completely drowning out everything. All right, so I'm gonna get these watered. I'm going to put them in here, and I'll show you how pretty it is with all the lights on. Oh no, Chrissy, you say? You forgot something. You need to cover these seats. You're absolutely right. All right. Look, okay, so I got my whole pile here. We're not doing that. We're just gonna do a very, very gentle amount. This is before you spray it with your little spritzer bottle. It really does not need that much. It's a very, very small covering. These seeds are tiny. just need a tiny bit for those two. So, okay, one quick note, if you are looking to do something like this and getting LED lights, these are specifically waterproof, and you can see why. It's just dripping right on there. Totally waterproof, made through whole spring sowing. So everybody's in there. I wanted to give you a quick note about my timer. So, if you were to start onions inside, as you know, onions are photosensitive, which means if you have a certain amount of light on them for a certain amount of time, it can actually trigger bulbing. This is what you want outside, and inside, not so much. So you can see I have a 12-hour timer here. Obviously, I'm not growing any onions, just some greens. So actually what I'm gonna do, and this is different than the fruit trees because I want the fruit trees to be as dormant as possible, I am going to put all of these on a 15-hour cycle, just for now. I may change that when they get a bit bigger, give or take, but at least right now while they're going through the process of germination, and then when they start getting a little bit bigger, 15 hours is where it's at. You could do 12 hours, that'd be just fine. I found that 15 hours is really best for my seed starting, but growing this over the winter is gonna be my first try, so I'm gonna get everything I got. All right, let me go plug this in. It appears I've gotten dirt on me again. Every single time I start half these videos, I have dirt on me. But I need to show you this. Look at this beautiful tower of plants. Well, soon to be plants for the full effect. That'll be zip closed. Here, let me stand next to my pride and joy for just a moment. I sort of wanted to do this last year, but we had just purchased a home and I was just like, should probably spend more responsible money on things we needed in the house and not my passion project, which is gardening. So, but I did end up purchasing this, last January, and yeah, I really loved it for seed starting. I'm really excited for how this is gonna go over the next few weeks. Now, it's quite damp in there. I have a fan. I'm gonna leave it just for tonight, and tomorrow I have a little fan I'll show you. I'm gonna put in there for some airflow. As we discussed earlier, we have our little hole here at the top. And everything should start making an appearance. Maybe the herbs like in a few days because it's pretty warm in there, but everything else maybe in the next week or two. So we'll see how it goes. But it looks so pretty. Yeah, and all this together, probably the lights were more expensive than this whole, like all those containers and the greenhouse itself. The greenhouse was like $45. The containers I've just collected over the years. I don't think I bought any of these. I just ended up with them. But the lights came in like a 2-pack each, and I think both 2 packs was like $20. Oh, so then I'm wrong. So the lights cost about the same as the greenhouse. But doesn't it look amazing? I'm so happy with it. Over here on my chair is the little fan I have. It's got a clip. I just clip it to like the corner, and then it blows air up and out. Obviously, this is not going to stay right next to my garage door. That's just the closest outlet I had. I'm gonna put it elsewhere, but I really need to move. I love this thing, by the way. I really need to move my little table here first. Also, so my dad got me this. I don't know what it's called. Does anyone know what that's called? Because it's very comfortable, and I probably should have sat on it to take care of my back when I was seed starting, but I didn't do that. So if you have the funds, get one of these things. Figure out what it's called, go get one. All right, here we are back where we started. This is how I'm doing my winter growing this year. In the past, I've tried to grow inside, but I have 2 little tiny would never be barred cats inside, and they like to eat everything in sight. So the fact that I have the luxury of even having a garage, and I hope if you have a garage, you truly appreciate what a luxury that is. I'm taking full advantage of it. And the fact that we have, can't show you right now, but we have a little heater in the corner too. I'm taking full advantage of it. I'm growing in here. The fruit trees did amazing last winter in here. And not having a giant tent of fruit trees in the house was great too, because that got so hot in the house. So if there's anything you're growing inside this winter, or if you're one of those lucky ducks who gets to grow in like a 4-year greenhouse, or maybe you're a few zones warmer than I am, please tell me what you're doing. I'm so interested. You know, pending how these come out, and I did all these varieties specifically because I didn't need to get them like a head start like you would, you know, with tomatoes or peppers. With all your methods, I like to use paper towel in a Ziploc bag to get them going, like pre-germination. I chose varieties where like I know I absolutely don't have to do that, just because it's easier for me. I'm very busy right now. This is gonna be pretty low maintenance out here. I'm in the garage like every day just getting stuff for the girls, the chickens outside anyways. So I can just walk by, keep an eye on it, collect stuff as I go. I'm really, really hoping that the Swiss chard takes off, because, I mean, if you had Swiss chard, it's really hard to go back to like other hardy greens. Like, it's just so pretty. It holds up to like a lot of stuff, and it freezes really well. So if this is something that you might be interested in more content into, please let me know. I also have some mushrooms coming on the way. That's something that we're gonna do some further dabbling in. And I did not do proper sterilization last year. This year I will, because I wanna get some good yields. As well as some mushrooms outside. We'll get them going before winter, and then maybe next fall we'll get some. So I hope everyone has a good evening. Today is Wednesday. Today is Wednesday, October 20th. And we are going to be down in the 30s for the first time in a couple days. So this is indoor growing is gonna be a huge pick-me-up. I hope everyone has a good night. We'll see you next Tuesday. And in the meanwhile, go check out, I got some content over on Instagram and TikTok. Or if you like what you're seeing here, please subscribe, like, comment, share, all that good stuff. Bye.